Hi friends, it's Julia. I am here to share my February 2022 Counterfeit Kit Challenge kit, Out with the Old and Layout Share. Now this kit, over on the Counterfeit Kit Challenge blog, you'll find the inspiration there. If you go back and look in their history, it is the Cocoa Daisy Denim and Blush kit from February 2021. So, I know this is much later than February 2022. So let me show you, this is a kit that I used in its entirety. All of the paper that I had put in, I cut into, so I consider this kit killed. I had started off with a Recollections paper pad, and I had a full pad, and then my sister gave me half, or maybe a little less than half of hers, and so I used all of it. I cut apart the cut aparts, I cut into every sheet of paper, used everything. So the way that I was able to use the entire kit was that I used it for the Christie's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches round 10 in October of 2022. So that's when the kit actually got finished off. And you may have seen as I've gone along some of the layouts that I have posted with that during the weekly roundups, if you will. So let me show you everything that was empty. I have multiple packages. Now some of these I did combine because I had multiple packages of something, and so I had a few left over, and I may have put it in with some other things. So you can see tons of empties here. And then of course I had my paper pad in a plastic baggie. So as far as paper goes, this is everything that is left over. These are some things that I punched out. I have a few little cutoffs here from things that I had punched. This was actually a cut apart. This was a cut apart, a cut apart, and a cut apart. And this was a cut off from a Felicity Jane paper that I added in. This was part of a cut apart, as was this, and this, and this, and this, and then I have this, and this, and then the rest are scraps. These not only include the paper that was in the kit, but any papers that I might have added in, and I'll tell you, I did add a few in. As I got towards the end of the kit, I had to add in papers to give me a little bit of variety and make it stretch a little bit farther. Now this one I did add in some washi tape, and so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rolls here. I did not finish any of these, but I actually did finish a roll. This is one that I used to back my layout. This is one of those rolls of tape that, you know, I'm not going to use it on a layout very frequently, and it's an older one and I wanted to get it used up. So that's how I used that up. I had pulled in these bitty blings. I had pulled in this set of Marcella by Kay word stickers and phrase stickers, and I used a ton of them. Those are quite old. I had pulled in four actually of the Cheeky Studio ephemera packs. This one I had a couple of flare left from a kit that I used everything else up, so those will go back into my stash. I had quite a few of these that I used up. I only have a couple of those left, and I think I used a couple of them, the single like flower shapes in a layout. And then this was a brand new pack that hadn't been used before, and I used a ton of those, especially the sequins. Or not so much a ton of the flower shapes, but a ton of the sequins and a ton of these little tiny bits and pieces. So those got used. These Park Lane papery washi flakes I didn't use. I can't remember an instance of using one of those. These I had a couple of the wreaths left. I didn't have any of the floral clusters left, but I did have some of the wreaths, and I used all but 1.5. This set of ephemera flowers comes with all of this, and I have a few of each of those left. I haven't used up anything in its entirety. You can see from this piece right here, I do cut them apart and use them where I feel necessary. I have these Felicity Jane puffy stickers that I added in, and I used a ton more of those. This is the Felicity Jane Cocoa die cut shapes, and I used several of these, not a ton of them though. I still have quite a few in here to use. I had pulled in a fall autumn kit from Freckled Fawn, and it had a couple of these alphabet sheets that I had in October of my 2019 kit. It also had a sticker sheet. It also had a enamel dot sheet, and it also had a chipboard sheet, all from this October 2019 kit. And I was able to combine what I had left in with these. I do still have enough washi strips, chipboard, labels, and enamel dots to consider it still a kit, so I'm going to keep it together. This is from February of 2020, and I don't have enough per se. I have 2 chipboard words here. I have 1, 2, 3 label stickers, and then of course the letter stickers I have quite a few of, and I've bought this pack multiple times over. So I'm going to take this apart, and it's going into my stash. It won't be kept together as a kit any longer. This one from November of 2022, I still have a ton of the letter stickers. I still have a ton of the labels. Still have some of the enamel dots. As far as the chipboard goes, I used all but one piece, and all of the wood veneer shapes, I had multiple packages of those. I only have one little shape left. This is going to remain together for the time being. This is an August 2021 kit. It came with the alphabet, the labels, the washi strips, the chipboard, the puffy hearts, and this wood veneer. I'm keeping all of this together as a kit. I used quite a bit of it, but I still have quite a bit left. These stickers, these are Blake puffy stickers, Brooke puffy stickers. I had 2 packs of them. I did not use a second pack, but I used quite a few of the first pack. I had pulled in this set of letter stickers from Sticko EK Success, and this is the first package, and this is the second package. So you can see I had to get into both packages in order to complete titles. So as far as what's left over, I still have a ton of leftover contents that's going back to my stash, but that's okay. That's not the goal of the Counterfeit Kit Challenge for me. For me, the challenge is to use up my paper because that's what I have the most of in my stash, and I feel like I did a pretty fair job. I still have quite a bit left over, but I'm done with this kit. There's some pieces in here that I'm going to save and cut up or put into my leftover, my scrap papers. Yeah, I'm done with this kit. I'm good with it. So let me grab my layouts and I will show you those. Okay, so this is actually in order of creating them. This is how they were created in order. This was for the 30 Days of Sketches, and this was number 6. And you can see I used that Eco Success title. I had fussy cut a ton of flowers out of a couple of the floral pages. I used sequins, enamel dots, chipboard pieces, labels, more labels down here, and chipboard, some acetate pieces that I had left over, and again more bits and pieces here from cut aparts and chipboard and sequins, and yeah. Not a ton of paper on this one, and that's okay. I had added in a couple of the Felicity Jane papers in here, and so that's what I have behind the photos. And when I was cutting out the flowers, I had some blue space, if you will, negative blue space, and so I punched out some photo corners and some hearts with those. This was for layout number 7 of the 30 Days of Sketches, and again I used that same alphabet tile here, and then I used the small pink with the gold to create my title, my main title and my subtitle or my journaling. I used chipboard pieces. I used cut aparts as my background for this one. I used 3 different cut aparts here. I used cut out flower pieces, and I used one of those wood veneers that I actually just used some ink and colored it green. And then I used some washi strips down here along the bottom. This one was layout number 16 for 30 Days of Sketches, and this one had a lot of mixed media on it. And y'all know I don't do mixed media. And so on this one, I took my Nuvo Mica Mist. This one is in Aspen Gold, and I just kind of dripped it onto the paper. I dripped it onto the paper, and then I like tapped it so that it would run down to mimic the lightning there. And then I took my blue. This is Glimmer Mist in Icicle Blue, and I just put it on some packaging here, and then I just smooshed it along the top to represent all of these wonderful clouds up here. That might be a little bit harder to see, but the lightning shows up well. I layered sequins down here, and I actually got a gold piece of paper from my stash to back the photos and then back the layout. Used some washi strips down here, and then put a small tile letter and a gold little chipboard piece. And then I used my white journaling pen. This is a Jelly Roll 08, to do my journaling, just right down here below the photos. And you can see, because I needed a piece to go around the photos, I cut it out of the background paper. This one is layout number 14 for the 30 Days of Sketches in October. And for this one, I added in this brown cardstock along the back. And then I took this striped piece of paper. It was a vertically striped paper, and I just cut off slivers from it to create my background, and I mitered the corners. They didn't turn out terrific, so I used the photo corners that I punched out and created my background there. For the embellishment clusters above and below the photo, I just used some washi tape strips to create the background for it, and then just piled my journaling or my embellishment clusters on top of it. I used tons of embellishments. I used the pink alphabet, and then I used the smaller blue letter tile. I used labels. I used those Marcella by K word stickers. I used chipboard pieces. I used cut apart pieces. I used enamel dots. Yeah, I used a little bit of everything. This is layout number 8. And you can see I'm kind of all over the place in creating these. I did not follow any specific order in creating these. I just went with it. Here I used a couple of those big floral pieces, and I used strips of paper. A lot of these were already scraps, and then I used a ton of the cut apart papers. Like this was part of the cut apart sheet, as was this, and as was this. And then I had lots of the stripe paper left over from making that one layout. I used the piece around here from the Felicity Jane. I actually had some buttons that someone had given me on a Secret Sister swap recently, and so I pulled those in because they match those big flowers perfectly. And so my journaling, or my title, is Favorite Moments with You. And then I used chipboard pieces, I used labels, more chipboard, the puffy hearts, enamel dots. There's a part of that wreath that I cut apart into sections, and the floral stickers here, I had cut off these flowers off of another one and tucked them in around here. Here's some more of those. Yeah, I was able to get a ton used on that layout. This one is one that I added the background cardstock to. I wanted a lighter color, something to ground this lighter color pattern paper, and so I just added a black piece of paper to that. I think it's black. It may be one of those dark brown ones that looks black. I used a cut apart piece here. I used some of those ephemera bits from Cheeky Studio. There's some wood veneer along here. This is one that broke apart, so I just helped it along and used it in different places. I actually did use some of the ephemera bits from the Cocoa set that I added in, and let's see, I think that's it. There's another cut apart piece down here as well. And these ephemera bits, I popped all of those up on foam tape, and I don't know if I mentioned, but this was layout number 9, sketch number 9. And I did use a border punch to punch out the border along each edge of here, and from scrap paper that I had with my kit. This is layout number 10, or sketch number 10 for Christy's Beautiful Life. Ooh, something just fell off. And this was part of, there's my journaling. I'm going to have to go back and put some adhesive behind the chipboard pieces. This blue piece of paper was in the kit. It was a freckled fawn, or sorry, a Felicity Jane piece. This is a little bit of ephemera that came out of my bowl that I recently got, just full of stuff that was from a a retreat that I went to, as was this little clipboard piece here. I use labels, I use chipboard, I use some scrap pieces of paper in the background, I use some bits of ephemera, I use some star enamels, and the pink alphabet. It says, "Be true to who you are, goofball." My son has a, what do they call those, a bull ring in his nose, and so he took it out and actually put the flower stem through his nose. Completely and utterly foolish, being a goofball. This was for sketch number 12, and this one I used the paper that I had in the collection, and I just did some cutting out. I took a scrap piece of paper and put down the copper tone washi tape and the glitter washi tape, and used a piece here and here. Used the flowers that I cut apart along with some of the ephemera bits. I used sequins, I used tiny little bits of ephemera through there, and I used my gold mica mist. There's part of a label up here. There's one of those word phrases, and I used some scraps to create the banners there, and then a scrap to create the punch out from this side. And this says, "My heart, my home." This is my son and his daughter. Love those two so much. Another one, this is layout number, or sketch number 11. And you can see I pulled out my notebook paper punch, and this is actually the background of this paper, or this layout is a cut apart sheet, and rather than cut apart, I had this side that I had not used, but I also had the cut apart, and I had already cut one piece apart, so I thought, well, rather than use the other side, I'll use the cut apart piece because I wanted some lighter tones in the background as well. So that's what I did. This one is actually a little piece that I had in an ephemera bowl that's sitting close to me. I have bits and pieces of cut apart, sequins, chipboard, ephemera bits. It's just moments together. Family place, or happy place, and family fun. This is a cut apart down here. Yeah. So lots of different ephemera bits and pieces throughout. These are the kind of layouts that I like to do because they're fun. Makes me remember all the little bits and pieces and how I put them together and came up with the conclusion to put them together. This was for sketch number 14, and it's Good Times on Vacation. And you can see this is a black background, and I took that blue stripe paper and I just cut a piece for the top, cut a piece for the bottom, and then use that copper tone or rose gold tone to border each of those. Then I took the cut apart pieces and I used 3 up here and 3 down here, added on some of the flowers that I fussy cut, added on some of the wood veneer, some sequins. This is the puffy stickers, and then this is a bit of the ephemera, and did my journaling right here on the page with my white Jelly Roll pen. This one was sketch number 15, and this one you can see the paper already had floral bits on it in the top and the bottom. I just added some floral bits on at the top and the bottom, and I added in some wood veneer. Again, another one of them broke apart, so I just spread it across those 2 clusters. I used enamel dots. I used my Nuvo mica mist in the gold. There's not a whole lot of paper on here. I used some scraps back here behind the photo and called it good. This was for day or sketch 17. Again, there's tons of flowers on the background paper, and I just layered up some of my scrap bits. This I made into a tag piece from a scrap piece of paper, and I used a scrap ribbon that I had laying here from a Felicity Jane kit. And this is just Sleepy Girl is my title. I went across here and there were a couple of pieces of Felicity Jane borders that are cut off strips that I had this scallop on them. I just fussy cut those and layered them up to go across the bottom here along with the scrap of paper. Cluster up here with a bit of a cut apart up there, use some chipboard, sequins, and this one was done. This was for sketch number 19, and this one I wanted to use a ton of the scraps that I had, the longer bits of scrap. So this was a piece of a scrap. I just fussy cut around these scallops here. I got out a border punch and punched this scrap. This one had a edge on it that I used. It was the bottom piece that had the scallop border on it. I just fussy cut around that, and then I border punch around across this one. This one actually has a piece of the copper washi tape behind it, and then the other metallic sheen one on top of that. I have cut apart pieces. I have those Marcella words and phrases by Kay. I have enamel dots. I have the puffy stickers, and I have more of that mica, Nuvo mica. And then our title is Our Little Sleeping Beauty. Love how that one turned out. This was for sketch number 21. This piece of paper has a teal tone to it, so I needed something to ground it and be able to blend in other colors. So I pulled in this craft background, and then I also used my blue, dark blue corner punches or corner pieces that I pulled in. I used a border strip down here along with a couple of different washi tapes. I used some of the flowers that I had previously fussy cut. This is my title down here, Love This Right Now, This Moment. And this was a cut apart piece here that I did my journaling on. I added in this cream cardstock in order to map my photos because my photos were in black and white. I didn't want to have them sitting right on top of the paper, because the pattern paper, because it just felt like they got lost. And so I used some of the hearts that I had previously punched out from some of the negative space, and then added this glimmer mist in to splatter each of the clusters. This one was for sketch 22. And it is a photo of my dogs in their new sweaters. But you can see I layered up mini papers here, used a cut apart piece here along that edge, and then this was also a cut apart piece, and there's a phrase on here or a saying on here, and there's a little piece showing here of the phrase, but it doesn't matter. I used my floral border punch there and cut it down to put along there. I used chipboard pieces. I used more of those phrases from the sticker pack, more chipboard. I used the punch out hearts. I used puffy stickers. That's a cut apart there where I put my date. This is another cut apart here where I put my journaling with my white jelly roll pen, and then I used that gold mica mist from Nuvo. This one is one for day number 23, sketch number 23. I wasn't crazy about the sketch that we had that day, and so it had a really funky layout, and so really the only thing that I took from that is that it had strips of paper, and it also had 3 photos. So I used my striped paper as my background piece. I used a cut apart across the bottom with some random scraps of paper down here. This is a cut apart piece down here, and it had a phrase on it. I don't remember what it said, but instead I covered it up and just put very noteworthy. Used a couple pieces of the ephemera from the Cocoa Pack. Used another piece of ephemera from the Cocoa Pack to put my title up here, and on this cut apart up here, it was a very large frame. I just cut it down and then put it here with this floral bit attached to it, and then I put my journaling right on there. I used some enamel dots to finish it off, and that pink alphabet to create my title. And this one was the final one, and it was day number 24. And you can see I have one piece of paper from the collection. Otherwise, I added in 4 additional pieces of paper to create this layout. And for this one, I used the last bit of the floral pieces that I had cut apart. I used the last couple of acetate pieces that I had in there. I used enamel dots. I used a Sharpie to go around the edges of my pattern papers here to create that faux stitching. And this just is my title here with that pink alphabet and my journaling right below that. And this was it. There were a total of 17 layouts that I created. And I will have photos attached at the end of the video. If you're interested in seeing any of them where you want to get a closer look, you can pause the video and have a closer look at each layout if you choose to. Anyway, I really enjoyed creating these layouts and using this kit up. I cannot believe how much I was able to get used and created with this kit. Like I said, it was a huge kit. Back in the day, you know, many years ago, I would create kits and get 20 or 30 layouts with. So this isn't quite as big as what I used to make, but it was still a fairly good sized kit, and I was able to make 17 layouts with one kit. Totally amazing that I got that, totally amazed that I got that much out of it. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you watching my video. If you would like to see other layouts made using your stash, your paper pads and your embellishments that you've had hanging around, please feel free to subscribe to my channel, because that's what I do here. I pull in that old stash, mix it in with my new stash, and then create layouts. And I love to share with you guys, and I hope it inspires you guys to get into your stash and to get creating. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you being here, and I will see you on the next video. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.